This Saturday is UFC Vegas 97, Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady, and this is going to be my full card predictions, and I absolutely love this fight card. For a nice change of pace, the UFC gave us a great UFC Apex card. I don't know what to do. I'm mind-boggled right now. This is a great Apex card that I'm really looking forward to. We're going to go through every fight on the card, and I'm going to give you a quick breakdown and prediction. Starting off with the very first fight of the night, we have Ramaska versus Nathan Fletcher. Both these guys are from The Ultimate Fighter. Fletcher lost to Khan Offaly, who went on to lose in the finals against Santos just recently. And Ramaska won his Ultimate Fighter fight, but then was pulled by the commission from his second fight because of a jaw injury. Look, I went back and watched some of their fights. I don't think Nathan Fletcher is that good, to be quite honest. His striking doesn't look that good. His grappling doesn't look that good. Offaly was able to take him down repeatedly. You know, Fletcher didn't look great on the feet. He had some reversals with the grappling, was able to get on top and get back up a couple times. But I'm looking at Ramaska. Dude is crazy aggressive, has finishing ability, 9 out of 9 wins via finish. And I think he's crisper on the feet. I think he's well-rounded enough that he can stuff the takedowns. I don't think that Fletcher is some great offensive grappler that all of a sudden he's going to be able to take Ramaska down and hold him down and beat him up, because I think that would be his path to victory. I think Ramaska is super aggressive, great variety of attacks. And I'm going to say Ramaska gets it done via KO. I don't think Fletcher is that good on the feet. He looks sloppy on the feet. And I know, these fights weren't necessarily, when were they recorded? It was the Grasso-Shevchenko season. It was a while ago, but, maybe he's made improvements. But even looking at some of his outside the UFC fights or outside the Ultimate Fighter fights, he doesn't look that great. And he's fighting guys, they're decent opposition, but not great. 8-1, 6-1, lost to a guy. This was 3 years ago, though, 7-4. He's still young, so I'm sure he can improve. But also he's at a massive height disadvantage. We don't have a reach for him for some reason. 3-inch height advantage for Ramaska. I think Ramaska is better on the feet. I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns. I think he could even mix in the offensive grappling. I'm picking Ramaska to get it done, second round TKO. Next fight on the card, we have André Petroski versus Dylan Budka. Man, Dylan Budka just looked like shit in his last fight. Shit the bed against Cesar Almeida. I know Cesar Almeida is an excellent kickboxer, but Budka should have been able to out-grapple him, and not even that. His cardio looked garbage. He had one round of cardio where he clinched up and then completely gassed out in the next round and got finished in the second round. Looked horrible. Even his fight on Dana White's Contender Series against Chad Hancom, if that's how you pronounce his name, he looked like shit. They both looked like shit in that fight. They should have never got signed, to be quite honest, but it's Dana White's Contender Series. They're filling up the roster. Meanwhile, André Petroski, he's coming off a win over Josh Frem. Okay, fair enough. It's not great. Lost to Jacob Malkoun, where it was that weird KO, where it was like on the hip of Malkoun or something along those lines. Jacob Malkoun's a quality fighter, okay? Good grappler, good striker. Lost to Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira, I believe, is ranked in the top 15 right now. So, and even a win over Gerald Meerschaert. Split decision, I thought he won that fight. It was a close fight, but beat Gerald Meerschaert. That's kind of like the measuring stick for like the top 25, maybe, of the welterweight division or middleweight division. I have to go André Petroski. I don't trust Dylan Budka's grappling to get it done. Petroski has excellent grappling and takedown defense. Budka's cardio looks horrible. I mean, it looked so bad in his last fight. I don't know if I'd ever be able to pick him in any fight ever. That's how bad it looked. And it didn't look that good on the Dana White's Contender Series fight. Meanwhile, Petroski has really good striking. It's not great, but it's way better than Budka's because Budka has no striking. And I just think Budka's going to be shooting takedowns, getting stuffed. I could see Petroski knocking him out with a sprawl as he shoots a gas takedown in the second round. So I'm picking Petroski. I'm going to say he finishes him in the second round. I'm predicting a second round André Petroski TKO. I could see like Budka getting lit up on the feet because Petroski comes out. We've even seen it in his last fight against Frem. We've seen it against Jacob Malkoun, I believe, as well, where Petroski just doesn't even want to wrestle. He'll just come out and look to land haymakers and put you out. I can see him landing in the first round and maybe putting him away, but I could see just Budka eating some shots, looking to clinch. There'd be some clinch exchanges, and then eventually Budka's going to be gasping for air in the second round, and then Petroski's going to finish him, drop him with a big shot, jump down to the ground, finish him with ground and pound, and finish Dylan Budka in the second round. So I'm going Petroski second round TKO. Next fight on the card, we have Jacqueline Amorim versus Vanessa Demopoulos. I think this is a relatively easy fight to pick. I mean, Amorim has looked pretty good in her last few fights. I mean, She submitted Corey McKenna, pull guard, submitted her there. Montserrat Ruiz, she got a finish in the third round where it looked like it might have been slipping away from her a little bit. That's a bit of an exaggeration, a little bit. And then the fight she lost against Sam Hughes, she was winning, dominated the first round, then gassed out. But it looks like she addressed the cardio in the next fight because she went 3 rounds. Vanessa Demopoulos is so sloppy, She just charges forward. She fights like she went to a camp of like Juliana Miller strikers, Juliana Miller camp of strikers. Basically, she's not good, okay? She's coming off a win over Emily Ducote, split decision. I thought she lost that fight, if I'm not mistaken. Before that, Marotte won there. Before that, lost to Karolina Kowalkiewicz and missed weight on that fight. And I know Kowalkiewicz kind of had a resurgence. But look, I think Jacqueline Amorim is the way better grappler, way better submission artist. And while Demopoulos, I don't believe she's ever been submitted in MMA, at least not in the UFC. She's done some grappling events where she's gotten submitted. And I think Amorim is one of those like super high-level grapplers. So I'm going to pick Jacqueline Amorim to get it done. I'm going to say first round armbar. One way or another, Demopoulos ends up on the ground, whether she's rushing forward and just falls to the ground, tripping over her own 2 feet, looking clumsy as hell, or Amorim clinches up with her and pulls guard because she will. That's what she did against Corey McKenna. Mike Beltran almost messed that up horribly. She had the armbar, and Mike Beltran's like, stop! And then she starts to let it go, and he's like, no, keep going, keep going. Mike Beltran's horrible, by the way. Hopefully that doesn't happen in this fight. But I see Amorim submitting her. I'm going to pick Jacqueline Amorim via armbar, first round armbar. She's got a lot of submissions via armbar. One of the most recent losses in grappling from Demopoulos was via armbar. So I'm just going to go Jacqueline Amorim via first round. I'm going to say late first round or mid first round armbar for Jacqueline Amorim. Next fight on the card, we have Gabriel Santos versus, I wish I could remember how to pronounce his name. I think it's Yizha. It looks like it would be Yizha, but it's Yizha. Gabriel Santos, you would think if you just looked at the records right now, let me actually say, okay, Tapology says Santos is going to win. But if you look at their records, you would think, oh, maybe Yizha would win. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Gabriel Santos is on a 2-fight losing streak. No, Gabriel Santos is actually really good to the point I think maybe he could be a future ranked guy in the featherweight division. Look at his losses. Lost to David Onama, was winning that fight, got clipped. It was a closer fight. Got clipped with an uppercut, put to sleep. Fight before that, I think he came in on short notice and fought Lemar Murphy, if I'm not mistaken. Arguably could have won that fight. Split decision, was out grappling him. I mean, Santos is super well-rounded. Good hands, good power, good killer instinct, excellent grappling, excellent jiu-jitsu. Where he fails is sometimes guys can get him down and control him a little bit. We've seen it in the Onama fight, but he's still scrambling, looking for submissions. Almost had an armbar in the Murphy fight as well as the Onama fight, if I'm not mistaken. And Yizha, he's fighting not that great level of opposition on road to the UFC. He was previously in the UFC, lost to Ji-Young Lee via split decision a year and a half ago. I guess was cut from the organization, went to the road to the UFC. I think this is an easy win for Santos. I know he's coming off 2 losses, but look at the level of opposition. I mean, David Onama, Lerone Murphy. That's excellent opposition. I think he's better on the feet. I think his jiu-jitsu is amazing as well. He's dangerous everywhere. And unless he gets caught in a submission from Yizha, I think he wins this fight. I mean, Yizha does have 14 wins via submission, but he has 25 fights. But a lot of these guys aren't super high level. The guys that he fought on road to the UFC are the most high-level guys that he fought. And they're not even that great themselves. So I'm going to pick Gabriel Santos to get it done. And I feel like he should TKO him. But I'm going to say maybe he's lost 2 fights now in the UFC. Maybe he's a little bit worried. Maybe he fights a little bit more conservatively. And Yizha's able to survive, tries to pull guard a couple times, ends up on bottom, looking for submissions. Maybe he gets close a couple times, but not really there. I'm going to pick Santos to win via decision because he's going to be worried about losing. By the way, in his Tapology pick, he looks so damn young. He looks like he's like 13 years old. It's crazy. So I'm going Gabriel Santos. I'm going to say 30-27 decision. Unless he gets caught in a submission, he easily wins this fight. Next fight on the card, we have André Lima versus Felipe Dos Santos. You guys want to hear one of the hottest takes ever? I think André Lima needs to be cut from the UFC more than Igor Severino, the guy who bit him. That's the fight, if you're thinking about it, where he got bit. Lima has cheated in the Raposo fight, which is his most recent fight, multiple times, as well as the Severino fight. He's like grabbing gloves, grabbing the cage, eye pokes. I don't even remember all the fouls. So, I mean, he's just cheating nonstop. And, when you're cheating like that, I just don't believe you believe in yourself that much. He has good kicks. He's not super aggressive. And I just, his takedown defense isn't that great. He has been out-grappled a bit. Raposo got him down, controlled him a little bit. He smashed Raposo with leg kicks. I don't know how it was a split decision. I think I only gave Raposo one round, but I don't remember which round it was, and I just recently rewatched that. The Severino fight was competitive up until the point of the bite, which is crazy to even say. Felipe Dos Santos, meanwhile, whenever Victor Altamirano, split decision. It was close. Victor Altamirano was able to out-grapple him a little bit. Before that, lost to Manel Kopp. Won a round. Took a round off Manel Kopp on short notice. And Santos is small. He's small for flyweight. And initially, I was leaning Lima, but then I started looking at fight tape, and I think Dos Santos, better striker, more aggressive, defensively responsible. I think he has a better ability to get up off bottom as well. And I just think he's more active. And I think the activity in this fight is what's going to be what wins him this fight. So I'm going to go Felipe Dos Santos. I'm going to say decision. He's young. He's 23, almost 24 years old. He's got a reach advantage. They're about the same height. I think that Felipe Dos Santos is the better overall fighter. I mean, I don't like to elevate guys off of losses, but you can still assess their skills. To come in on short notice and lose 29-28 to Manel Kopp, there's something to say for that versus Lima. Split decision against Mitch Raposo. It's that close that you could get a split decision on the judges' scorecards, or, a very not a razor close fight, but a close fight against Igor Severino up until he bites you and basically you get a disqualification win. So I'm going to pick Felipe Dos Santos to get it done. I think this is going to be a barn burner fight. Dos Santos always fights excitingly, and I'm going to pick him to win via decision. Next fight on the card. I'm looking forward to this matchup. This is super competitive. We have Isaac Dulgarian versus Brendan Marotte, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I can't remember. Look, I don't know what kind of sick, twisted fuck is making these fights. Isaac Dulgarian versus Brendan Marotte is bad. Isaac Dulgarian is going to beat the dog shit out of Brendan Marotte. It's going to be bad. This is a one-sided matchup. Let me look at that. 95. Who's the 5% picking Marotte on Tapology? Shame on you. Marotte has literally no chance other than a fluke injury in the first 10 seconds. Got absolutely destroyed by Terrence McGinney in the first round. Before that, he beat a guy who was 11-20, named Lionel Young. Before that, he beat a guy who was 3-1. Before that, he beat a guy who was 8-4. By the way, that was 5 years ago. I mean, Isaac Dulgarian's coming off a loss against Christian Rodriguez. He arguably won. He was dominant with the grappling. I think bare minimum it should have been a draw with 2 10-8 rounds. First round 10-8 for Dulgarian, third round 10-8 for Rodriguez. I thought second round Dulgarian could have won. So I think he could have won the fight, but I guess if you give that to Rodriguez, then it would have been, I guess it would have been a win for Rodriguez. But I thought the second round that Dulgarian won anyway and won the first round 10-8. So he should have won the fight. Before that, absolutely ran through Francis Marshall. He just came in on short notice and got a win. Dulgarian has excellent grappling, excellent ground and pound. His striking, we haven't seen a lot of it, but he's filthy, man. He's absolutely filthy. And Marotte is just a scrub, man. He's a scrub. I'm sorry. I feel bad for him. He's only 28 years old. I don't know who's making these fights. McMaynard? Come on now. McMaynard? Why are we doing Isaac? They wanted to build Isaac Dulgarian up, I guess. I know he was at one point supposedly going to be the Nelk Boys kind of prospect, but, apparently didn't like the deal they were offering him or whatever. I don't remember all the details of that. Marotte's going to get smashed. I'm going Dulgarian first round ground and pound TKO. Going to take him down, just destroy him on the ground. He looked excellent against Christian Rodriguez, who has excellent anti-grappling. And he was able to control him and beat him up. Eventually he gassed out, but still, Marotte's not going to be able to put up that type of fight. He's not going to be able. I mean, if you remember what happened against Makayev and Kopp, where Makayev tried to take down his pants by accident, supposedly. If Dulgarian wanted to, he could pants Marotte in the cage easily, and there's nothing Marotte could do about it. That's how bad this matchup is. I'm going Isaac Dulgarian, first round KO, ground and pound. Next fight on the card, OSP versus Ryan Superman Spann, or as John Anik would say, Superman Spann lighting it up at MSG when he KO'd the dead body of Dominic Reyes with a jab. This might be... Look, this is actually kind of a weird, tough fight to pick because Spann's on a 3-fight losing streak. He lost to Bogdan Guskov, got KO'd there. I actually picked Guskov in that fight, thank God. Lost to Anthony Smith, which is crazy work. Lost to Nikita Krylov, not a bad loss. Last one is dead body of Dominic Reyes, which appears has some life back in him. OSP, man, 42 years old almost. Split decision to Kennedy and Zetsuwu. Lost to Felipe Lins via KO. Barely squeaked by the dead corpse of Mauricio Shogun Rua. I think I thought he lost that fight, but I don't remember. It was so bad. Lost to Tanner Boser. Lost to Jamal Hill. You have to go with Ryan Spann here. OSP's old. He's slow. He doesn't seem like he's improving at all. Seems like he's stagnating for a long, long time. And I'm just going to go with the guy who's 33 years old, who could probably be at heavyweight, fights like a heavyweight, no cardio, just big power. And I think Spann has good enough wrestling if OSP does decide to try to wrestle here. I'm going to go Spann first round KO. I'm just looking at OSP and I'm like, how the hell is he going to win? I don't see a path to victory for OSP. I mean, I know he has somewhat of power, but no way I could pick him. So I'm going to go Ryan Spann first round KO. But I don't trust Ryan Spann at all, especially when you're losing to Anthony Smith and you have 1 round of cardio, but OSP doesn't have great cardio either. So I'm picking Ryan Spann to put his lights out in the first round. First round KO, Ryan Spann. Next fight on the card, first fight on the main card, we have Rongzhu versus Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla came in against James Yantop and won in the first round via rear naked choke. But does he get another win in the UFC? I'm going to say no. I think Rongzhu, I think he's a pretty good grappler. He has good striking as well. You know, he's primarily a striker, but he has decent grappling, and I think Padilla relies a little bit too much on the grappling. His striking isn't good. He was even getting lit up by Yantop in their fight as well, getting, punched and not rocked, but like kind of stung a bit in that fight, punched right on the chin. And I think Rongzhu is just levels above him in terms of the striking, and I think he has decent enough grappling. I mean, won his last fight, rear naked choke, against the guy who's not great, but was 7-0. He's fighting a lot of unknown, decent, not really great talent, but he's been in the UFC before. He fought Ignacio Bahamondes, lost that fight, got submitted there. So if you're picking Padilla, you have to pick him via sub, but I don't think Padilla is going to be able to get off with the wrestling. When Rongzhu first came in the UFC, he's 20 years old, 21 years old. Now he's 24. I think he's improving massively. He's, on a 4-fight winning streak, and I just think he's better than Chris Padilla on the feet. And I'm picking Rongzhu. I don't really know. I don't really know how Chris Padilla gets it done. He's going to have to take him down. I don't think he will. Rongzhu's basically been trying to anti-grapple his entire career and, has decent kicks, decent hands. I think they're better overall than Padilla on the feet, and he has good takedown defense. So I'm picking Rongzhu to get it done. I'm going to say decision. I'm going to say that Padilla makes a decent enough fight of it, just shooting takedowns, but ultimately I think he's going to get touched up on the feet and lose a decision. I'm going to say 30-27 win for Rongzhu. Next fight on the card, we have Trevor Peek versus Yanal Ashmouz. I mean, this fight could go either way, and there's a couple fights I'm back and forth on this one, but I think a lot of people are just biased. I think people want Trevor Peek to win because he's crazy and wild, and he fights like he's at the Kentucky State Fair, and he probably fucks his cousin. But I don't think Peek is that good. I love watching Peek fight as well, but he's just not that good. And Yanal Ashmouz has nasty one-punch KO power, and Peek has a chin. He took a lot of damage from Charlie Campbell in his last fight. But he's beaten Muhammad Yahya. He's taken a lot of damage in the Chepe Mariscal fight, where he got touched up on the feet there and out-grappled a bit there. I think Yanal Ashmouz, I think maybe if he gets into a dogfight, he could lose to Peek, which Peek's going to try to make it a dogfight, but I think Ashmouz has the power to put Peek's lights out. And I think Peek rushing forward and throwing those crazy hammer fists, like sideway hammer fists on the feet, I think he's going to get clipped. I mean, he KO'd... Ashmouz KO'd Sam Patterson, lost to Chris Duncan, but had an injured arm in that fight and still had an okay showing. I don't think Peek has the skills to hang with Ashmouz. I mean, there was moments where Chris Duncan was just rushing forward and landing really good shots, but he's so much more tactical than Trevor Peek. I'm seeing that success from Chris Duncan and okay, maybe Peek can kind of replicate that. But Peek's just wild and crazy, and I think the openings are going to be there. We've seen him in every single one of his fights. He's there to be hit. He's there to be knocked down. And I think Ashmouz is a guy that has the power to put him away, has good kicks, has good movement. I don't trust his cardio all that much, but it's not horrible. I mean, he went 3 rounds. I think he injured his arm in the early second round, if I'm not mistaken, in his last fight against Chris Duncan. I think Chris Duncan's just leaps and bounds better than Trevor Peek. So I'm going to pick Yanal Ashmouz to get it done. But when does he finish him? I'm going to say first round KO. For Yanal Ashmouz. I'm going to say late first round KO. Trevor Peek walks into a big punch. We're going to see him put out like Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell style. Just flat out, scary KO, and that's going to be the beginning of the downfall of Trevor Peak. And he's going to be back at the Kentucky State Fair, unfortunately, even though he's so much fun to watch. I kind of want to see him win, to be honest. He's so much fun to watch. He's crazy. He's wild. But we'll see. Maybe he can drown Yanal. Maybe he can pressure him and drown him with combinations. But right now, I'm just going to go Yanal Ashmouz, first round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. How can you pick Matt Schnell? I don't know how anyone in their right mind could pick Matt Schnell. He's just chinny, man. I mean, his last fight got KO'd by Steve Erceg. Fight before that got KO'd by Mateus Nicolau. Fight before that, war with Sumadarji, where he basically got KO'd 4 or 5 times in the fight, but somehow survived. Fight before that, finished by Brandon Royval. Fight before that, lost to Rogerio Bontorin, but Bontorin tested positive for something. Costa beat Kevin Borjas via KO in his last fight. Looked incredible. Had a close fight with Steve Erceg. I mean, lost, but it was a competitive fight. Destroyed Jimmy Flick. Before that, lost to Amir Albazi, had a great showing, and I believe he came in on short notice in that fight. Got finished in the 3rd round. Costa is good everywhere. Good grappling, good striking, good leg kicks, good power. He's putting Matt Schnell out. He's putting him out cold. Matt Schnell, he has decent striking, he has decent jiu-jitsu, but he's not that good. That's why I picked Kai Kara France over Steve Erceg. I'm like, people are kind of hyping him up. Oh no, he had a close fight with Pantoja, and he chinned Matt Schnell. Who hasn't chinned Matt Schnell? A tumbleweed would chin Matt Schnell if it blew the wrong way. So I think Costa puts him out, but it's a matter of when does he put him out. I'm going to say 2nd round KO. Early 2nd round KO for Costa. I could see him mixing in the grappling and KOing with ground and pound. He's been KO'd by ground and pound before. But ultimately, I could just see Costa putting him to sleep on the feet. I really could. I mean, Matt Schnell's chin's gone. He's 34 years old, going on 35. Been KO'd so many times. I don't see how his chin is going to absorb the damage that Costa can put out. I mean, look what he did to Jimmy Flick. Absolutely brutalized Jimmy Flick. Has nasty power in his hands. Has good leg kicks as well. So I'm not picking Matt Schnell. And plus, he didn't take a lot of time off. I mean, 5 months ago, brutalized by Steve Erceg. Bad KO. I know 5 weeks isn't anything crazy, or 5 months isn't anything crazy short notice. But when you see them types of scary KOs or them brutal KOs, especially when they have a long history, okay, sit out for 6-8 months now, okay? Let's not come back too soon, okay? Sit out for like 8-9 months, actually. So I'm going Costa. I'm going to say 2nd round KO, early 2nd round KO. Next fight on the card is actually incredible matchmaking. Kyle Nelson versus Steve Garcia. I love this fight, but I have to go Steve Garcia. How can you pick Kyle Nelson? I mean, I know he's good. I know he's well-rounded. I know he's decent striker, decent grappling. I know he's coming off a win over Bill Algeo, but I think Bill Algeo is a scrub. Been saying he's a scrub for a while. Fernando Padilla, okay, good, solid win there. Blake Bilder, I think, he's not that great. Primarily a grappler. Kyle Nelson has good takedown defense. Steve Garcia is just a fucking savage. He goes out there, he just destroys dudes. Sung Woo Choi in his last fight destroyed him a month and a half ago. Not even a month and a half ago. Destroyed Melquizael Costa. Destroyed him. Got out-grappled a bit in the 1st round, but didn't really absorb too much damage. Destroyed Shalin, I forgot how to pronounce his name. Norin Beke. I forgot how to pronounce his first name. But destroyed him. Destroyed Chase Hooper. That's aged quite well. His last loss is against Mahashate 2 years ago. And I think Kyle Nelson's not going to mix in the offensive grappling. He's going to try to strike with him, and he's slow on the feet. He's not that great on the feet. Steve Garcia is fast, and he's powerful on the feet. And I know Nelson, overall has decent durability, but he's just too hittable, man. He's too hittable, and I think Garcia just finds a way to put guys' lights out. So I'm going to pick Steve Garcia to get it done. I'm going to say 2nd round KO. I just see him being much faster on the feet. I think the path to victory is to grapple Steve Garcia, and I don't think Kyle Nelson is going to grapple for 3 rounds. I don't remember, when have we seen him really grapple for 3 rounds? He's primarily a kickboxer. So he's going to strike with Steve Garcia. I think it's going to be competitive early. And then I think Steve Garcia eventually will find an opening, maybe rock him, but not be able to finish him. Maybe get saved by the bell in the 1st round. And I think Steve Garcia will find multiple opportunities. I think he's so much faster on the feet. I was watching his fight versus Bill Algeo. I almost said versus Kyle Nelson. And even though he's touching Bill Algeo up, I think Bill Algeo has shit striking, and Kyle Nelson still looks slow. And that was an early stoppage as well. I don't think he's getting Steve Garcia out of there. Steve Garcia is tough as hell, durable as hell, and has nasty power coming back. So I'm picking Steve Garcia. I'm going to say 2nd round KO for Steve Garcia in the featured fight. Next fight on the card, the co-main event, we have Jessica Andrade versus Natália Silva. Man, I've been bad at picking Jessica Andrade's fights recently. I'm pretty sure I picked Marina Rodriguez to beat her. I'm pretty sure I picked Mackenzie Dern to beat her. And I'm pretty sure I picked Tatiana Suarez to beat her, and she did. Okay, fair enough. I think I picked her to beat Yan Xiaonan, so I've got like 3 wrong out of the last 4. Look, Jessica Andrade is weird because she's good, but then she shows up for paychecks, and then I don't know how good she is anymore because she's just showing up for paychecks. Natália Silva hasn't fought any great fighters yet. I mean, she's been winning, but Viviane Araújo, Andrea Lee, Victoria Leonardo was the last person she finished. She hasn't finished any good fighters. Teresa Bleda finished her. But look, I think Natália Silva is actually a really good fighter and future potential title contender in the division. Has really good striking, really good jiu-jitsu, really good takedown defense, really good movement, has a 3-inch reach advantage, has a 3-inch height advantage. Jessica Andrade is going to have to clip her and put her down. And Natália Silva, what's her kind of biggest strength is her movement and her shot selection. And sometimes she can be a little bit boring. You know, her last 2 fights weren't great. I'm going to pick Silva to get it done. I mean, Jessica Andrade's 32 years old. Arguably could have lost the Marina Rodriguez fight in her last fight. I didn't watch it, but I don't even remember it that well. But I'm pretty sure I thought Rodriguez could have gotten that nod in that fight. And I think Andrade, those T-Rex arms, unless she finds that big power shot, she's just not winning. She has to put Natália Silva out, and I just don't see that happening. I think Natália Silva is coming into her own, 27, going on 28 years old. Good shot selection, good kicks, good movement. I think this is going to be a fight where Andrade is kind of the bull, and Natália Silva is the matador. And just going to avoid the big shots and just touch her up with the jab, touch her up with teep kicks to the body to keep distance. And I think Silva gets it done. I'm going to pick Silva to get it done. I'm going to say 30-27 decision. I think she proves herself as a elite flyweight fighter in this fight. But fair enough to Jessica Andrade. She's only losing to really elite fighters. Tatiana Suarez, Yan Xiaonan, Erin Blanchfield. But last 3 fights, all that she lost, all via finish. But Natália Silva's not finishing good fighters. So she's not finishing Araújo. She's not finishing André Lee. Maybe Andrade isn't just showing up for a paycheck anymore. I'm going to pick Silva to get it done via decision. Next fight on the card, the main event. Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. The reason I'm cringing is because I still haven't made my pick for this fight. I'm going to be honest. I've been back and forth on this one. I've been really back and forth on this one. Because in my head, everything in my body tells me Gilbert Burns wins this fight. But at the same time, they have very similar styles, right? And I think they have very similar skill sets overall. And when you look at that, and let's say they're equal, okay? Similar skill sets equal. Sean Brady's much younger. He's 7 years younger. Gilbert Burns is 38. Brady is 31. And then on top of that, I think Sean Brady's much bigger. Sean Brady could probably go to middleweight. He'd probably be a bit small for middleweight. Gilbert Burns is a former lightweight. I think Brady's going to have a massive size advantage. So you take into account the youth, you take into account the size, and it just makes me lean Sean Brady heavily. And then on top of that, you take into account that Gilbert Burns has taken a lot of damage. I mean, he's kind of battle worn at this point. At 38 years old, got KO'd by Jack Della Maddalena in his last fight. You know, suffered some injuries against Bilal Muhammad. Came out looking like he'd been in a car wreck against Bilal on short notice. Then his last wins, Jorge Masvidal. Win against Neil Magny. You know, not great wins. Lost to Hamzat Chimaev. I think everything in my body is telling me to pick Sean Brady just because he's younger and bigger. But I'm torn on this one because I'm looking at Sean Brady. Oh, he beat Kelvin Gastelum via Kimura. Oh, great. Kelvin Gastelum doesn't even take it seriously. I mean, dude showing up chubby to welterweight, which is crazy. He fought at middleweight. Got KO'd by Bilal Muhammad, TKO'd by Bilal Muhammad. That's not a horrible loss to have considering Bilal went on to become champion. Michael Chiesa was losing and then came back to win. If it had been 5 rounds, Chiesa would have won that fight. So it's like, how good is Sean Brady really? And his grappling, I think Burns is the better striker. And I don't think, is Brady going to be able to ragdoll Burns? Like, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, even Kelvin Gastelum was able to escape some of the bad positions early on, and Kelvin Gastelum doesn't take it seriously and has no cardio. He's too busy eating on YouTube and not actually training and having little rap intros. Look, I may regret this. I'm going Gilbert Burns. I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns to get it done. You know, I actually have Brady selected on Tapology as my pick, but I'm going to switch right now. I'm going to pick Burns via decision. Because, look, I don't see Sean Brady submitting Gilbert Burns. I don't see Sean Brady putting out Gilbert Burns. So, therefore, like, how do I pick Sean Brady? Because if I'm picking him via decision, I don't trust his cardio either. Especially, like, if he's able to get you down and control you, like, if he beats Gilbert Burns, like, if, let's say, because I had Sean Brady picked. I was going to pick Sean Brady, but then I'm, like, back and forth. The only way Brady wins this fight, I think at least, is if he's able to get the grappling positions that he wants without having to fight too hard for him. Because he's able to take him down early, get his back, control him. He's not exerting a lot of energy. He can go 5 rounds. We've never seen him go 5 rounds before. We've seen him go 3, got exhausted at the end. I don't think Burns is going to be that easy to control on the ground. I mean, we've seen nobody do it to him. Not Usman, not Khamzat. We've seen nobody just take Burns down and control him. And so I think this is going to be a striking match, and I think Burns is better on the feet. Sean Brady has Michael Chiesa as striking. So I think if Brady can get good positional control early and often, he'll win the fight. And I do think he's bigger, so he's probably stronger. But Gilbert Burns has excellent jiu-jitsu, and he has excellent cardio, and he has heavy hands. I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns to get it done. I could see like a late 4th or 5th round finish for Gilbert Burns, like a TKO in the 4th, 5th round. But I'm going to say Burns gets it done via decision, or like a 4th, 5th round TKO, which I just said, literally. But it's a tough fight to pick. This is what makes this fight so good. I'm actually really excited for this main event. But I'm going to go Gilbert Burns. After much debate, I'm going to go Gilbert Burns. So just to re-solidify that, I don't think Burns is going to be easy to hold down. I think Brady will get good positions, but he's going to have to struggle for him. Therefore, he's going to get exhausted. He's going to lose in the later rounds. I see Brady maybe taking 1 and 2. I see Burns taking 3, 4, and 5. Maybe getting him out of there late. I'm going Gilbert Burns via decision. I'm going to say like a 48-47 decision win for Gilbert Burns. Maybe I'll regret it. I don't usually pick the older guys, 38 years old, going against a 31-year-old surgeon contender in Sean Brady, but how much can you put into a Kelvin Gastelum win? But again, I hate to say it, how much can you put into a Jorge Masvidal or a Neil Magny win? Not that much either, and that's 2 of Gilbert Burns' most recent wins. But he's fighting such good opposition. Khamzat Chimaev, Bilal Muhammad was beating Jack Della and got caught late. I do worry about the damage. I do worry about the turnaround. It's only been 5 months for him as well. We talked about that earlier. But I'm going to go Gilbert Burns to get it done. 48-47 decision win. Sean Brady's cardio fails him in the later rounds, and that's what cost him the fight. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Who are you picking in the main event? That's what I really want to know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.